Hey guys, it's SYNOLVE. How you guys doing? Sure hope you are doing well. It's raining here. We are getting, I'm in the South, so we are getting just bombarded with rain and flooding. It's flooding in our front yard. I'm looking out the window. Y'all, it's flooding. So much is going on. My heart goes out to everyone. There are fires, there are floods, there's storms, there's ice. We just had tornado watches. Oh my goodness. Y'all, be safe wherever you are. Look, this is in a very interesting time. And so if you're getting floods, you're getting rain, you're getting any of the storms, you're getting fires, let me know. Let me know down in the comments below. Let me know. All right. Put some little water or raindrops. Let me know. So today we're going to have our very first episode of SYNOLVE Unleashed. And so we are going to be talking about this really interesting topic because, I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory or if it's the truth. Y'all, look, once y'all hear what's going on, these texts and these tweets about stopping the stoppages of passports, y'all, once y'all hear this, y'all let me know in the comments below. Do you think this could happen? Okay. Stopping passports for Americans. Do you really think this would ever happen? Okay. So now, what I need you to do, I need you to like, comment, and subscribe. Perform all of the rituals that you must perform, okay? Like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video with someone. Please share this video. Share it in WhatsApp, share it in Facebook, share it wherever with your email, share it in text, in tweets. Share this video, okay? Click the link below to join my email list so we can stay connected, family. There are more ways to stay connected. You can join my Facebook group, Black Exodus, over on Facebook. Always support Black media. If you'd like to share a gift, I've left my Cash App. It's up to you. No pressure. There it is. And we can talk more over on Patreon. So go ahead and join my Patreon if you'd like to support me on a regular basis and get more independent media. Good news. That's important to you. Let's get the conversation going because this is what this is. This is a conversation, okay? Hubby was calling it Conversations with SYNOLVE. I like that too. So it's basically, SYNOLVE Unleashed, Conversations with SYNOLVE. All right, let's go. So there's a tweet going around. How many of y'all are on Twitter? Me neither. I had to go find it. There is this tweet going around by someone called Bill SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink, not employee, okay? And he some interesting stuff over here. Okay, so Bill is saying that one of the big sources of our money leaking to other countries is people traveling and touring abroad. Should the president stop issuing passports until these countries stop ripping us off? Okay, that was tweet one. And as if that wasn't enough, Bill goes on to say, why are we issuing passports when they're still opening in hotels on the Gulf Coast? Americans should spend their money in America, creating American jobs and seeing the beautiful American sceneries. Now, next week, as if he goes on, okay? There's a Paris, Texas, too, he says. Same is true for many other world cities, which, by the way, are mostly reconstructed, so the buildings aren't as old as you think. Very interesting. So what do you think? What do you think about this? I mean, he's saying basically that one of the big sources, this first tweet is one of the big sources of our money leaking to other countries is people traveling and touring abroad. Should the president stop issuing passports? Should the president stop issuing passports until these countries stop ripping us off? Y'all, this stuff is scary. I mean, this is interesting. We've talked about getting second citizenship. We've talked about passports. And so this person is literally advocating for what was happening during the pan. Y'all know what I'm talking about, a couple of years ago, where there was such a slow grind to get your passports processed, that it would take months, right? It would take months. And so this person is asking, should issuing passports just be stopped altogether? Now, this is very disturbing. This is very disturbing, especially if you are leaving or you're getting your plans together to leave. You're getting your coinages together. You're waiting on your house to sell. You got to work out a few more months until your retirement, or a year or so until your retirement. Just the idea that someone would even somehow even think that it was okay to limit people's freedoms, right? To limit people's freedoms within the U.S. to be able to go and come. Now, we've seen what's been happening with all of the immigrants, with, ICE. We've seen what's been happening there, where people are being, even if they're leaving, returning home, they're being stopped by ICE. And that's interesting as well. Now, the reason I thought this was interesting, and it's like, I know you're probably thinking, no way, this would never happen. Like, this is just somebody who doing a tweet. Why are we even worried about that? Because, people tweet all the time. They say what they want to say. They say, outlandish, outrageous things. Why even worry about it, right? I want you to keep your eyes open, because like some of the most outlandish things, outlandish tweets, and conspiracy theories, sometimes are very much taken into consideration by this present administration. That wouldn't be taken, by anyone else. So this is a story on CNN, and it says the White House fires multiple administration officials after president meets with far-right activist Laura Loomer. Now, isn't that something, right? So, yes, the White House has fired multiple administration officials, including at least 4 National Security Council staffers. 3 sources who are familiar with the move told CNN. Now, the firings came after Laura Loomer, the far-right activist who claimed 911 was an inside job, urged President Trump during a Wednesday meeting to get rid of several members of his National Security Council staff, including his principal deputy national security advisor, claiming that they were disloyal. Y'all, I mean, one of the sources said that Loomer had compiled a list of roughly a dozen names that she really thinks and believes are disloyal to Trump, okay? And these subsequent firings were a direct result of this meeting with Loomer, okay? Now, she was a influential voice around Trump during his 2024 campaign last fall. And so all this is allegedly, right? So this is CNN story. This is all allegedly. So yeah, there's a lot going on. There is a lot going on. So if someone could put out a tweet, right, who is a Trump supporter, do you think they would follow it? No. Really? I don't know. Yeah, this is scary stuff. There are a lot of voices that are going on now. Laura Loomer is very, very active on X, as you know, formerly known as Twitter, just like Bill, okay? SpaceX, y'all see that somewhere over here. She considers herself, this is her bio, as an investigative journalist, a free spirit, founder of Loomered, and she's the host of at Loomer Unleashed. She's a former Project Veritas operative, and so when you go over there with Project Veritas, there's some undercover investigative journalism that has gone on. She considers herself a nationalist. Okay. Yeah, and so there's a lot of stuff going on. So if that could happen, if you could have someone that's very much not involved in national security and they are compiling a list for people to be fired, so do you think where we're getting our information from is important, right? We need to verify our sources. So do you think that these text or tweets, I should say, over on X would have any weight or bearing on how the president thinks. We know he's very active in Twitter, very active tweeting, Xing over there. All right. Interesting. So what do you think? Now, there is this idea that the walls that we construct to keep people out are the same walls that can keep people in. And that's scary. That's scary stuff. It's pretty interesting stuff. So on January 22nd, construction restarted on the border walls. And so this was a pledge that Trump actually pledged during his presidential campaign that he would finish the walls because, of course, Biden had stopped this construction. And so that started in California, San Ysidro, the land port entry on the U.S.-Mexico border. Y'all, if I said that wrong, y'all can correct me. And followed by that, construction and reinforcement work began near El Paso, Texas on January the 31st. And so, yeah, this is very interesting. So all of this, the idea that the walls that we build, right, the walls that are being built to keep others out can also keep us in. This is just all stuff to think about. These are things I think about. These are things that keep me up at night. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think they would ever close the border? I mean, you're having things that are already happening with Mexico has recently changed their residency program. They had a program where you did not have to provide any income. You didn't have to provide any income. You just had to have entered the country prior to 2022. So now they've changed that. Now you've got a lot of different rules and regulations, and it does depend on where you go in Mexico to apply. So that's happening. But then you've got all of these different countries who are issuing orders and kind of warnings to their people not to travel to the USA, because you've had several, or at least the Canadians who were here on holiday, who have been picked up by ICE, kept for 15 days, chained to chairs, all kinds of stuff going on. So now Mexico has released, okay, so that's our border, one of our borders. Mexico has released that you cannot enter Mexico without a visa, which there was free travel back and forth. Now Canada has done the same thing, right? You can't enter Canada without a visa. So they're actually literally stopping people if you don't have a visa. So are the borders getting tighter now that Trump is in office? Are things kind of pushing in around us, right? I don't know. What do you think? Right? What do you think? This is just a discussion. This is just a discussion, right? We're just discussing things. And also, Canada is warning its people not to travel. Canada, France, UK, they're warning their people not to travel to the U.S. Countries are warning their people not to travel to the U.S. even if they're green card holders or have a second citizenship here in the U.S. to, multiple countries are doing this. So it doesn't look great. It does not look great. And when we have leaders who are taking into account information or getting their advice from sources that have not been properly vetted or are really outside of the norm of where we, would get our information from the National Security Council, wow, so much is going on, right? Trump has abruptly fired this 4-star general who headed the National Security Agency. He fired him. This is, so it puts this, he oversaw the Pentagon's cyber command, right? Air Force General Tim Haw. There are a lot of questions surrounding the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and his involvement in this Signal Gate. And so it's very interesting. But of course, Pete Hegseth is a Trump loyalist and a Trump supporter. And so now we're having the fallout from this, and it's very interesting. And so, look, could this be, we're going back to this, could Bill and his proposal we're seeing when someone who is a loyalist or considered a patriot by this administration seems to share information or an idea, that it is taken into consideration, is not taken lightly, that people listen, that people are more likely to entertain their conversation, to entertain what most of us would just dismiss and not even pay any attention to. We would dismiss it. We would not pay any attention to it. We would just move on. And so, in light of all of the new world that we enter into of conspiracy theories and misinformation, disinformation, could someone take Bill and at his word? Could they take Bill's idea and run with it, or make it happen, make it real, make it true? What you think? What do you think? Sound off in the comments below. I want to hear what you think about this issue. I'm very interested. Are they building walls to keep us in? We know what happened with Gorbachev and Reagan. Tear down these walls, right? We remember, if you remember the Cold War, you were a kid, you remember that. And so they're rebuilding these walls. Some of the walls are invisible because some of the pressures that are being put on Mexico, being put on Canada, all of the things through tariffs, through just bullying, or all of the things that people are, these countries are then reacting, and they are, when their people are being mistreated, they're being mistreated, then these visas are now being enacted, so that now Americans who used to go freely across the border are now having to have a visa to enter Mexico. And where loads of Americans were going over to Mexico to live through this program, now that has changed. And then you have Canada, who's had several of its people to be detained by ICE. Then now they are enacting a visa. And so lots going on. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. Tell me if you think that anyone would listen to Bill. Will they? I don't know. Would they? What do you think? Comment below. Let's hope not.